Hi everyone, and welcome to another Apex Point Racing League Group 3 race in the Foundation Cup, and this week we're at Grand Valley Highway Reverse. And I didn't bother to qualify, I'm not overly comfortable on this track, so I'm starting in 15th and leaving plenty of space to the cars in front of me. Luckily I did that because Dean touched the wall in the tunnel and I sneaked past him into the first of the S's. Out through the tunnel, and there's a bit of push and shove ahead, but everyone seems to have gotten through okay, and there's plenty of space to be had in front and behind at the moment. Again, I'm just keeping a watching brief on what's going on ahead, not pushing too hard, keeping an eye on Dean out the back window as we head towards the next of the tight section through these S's, and then head up to the hairpin, which I find it much easier to drive in this direction than I do in the normal direction downhill. Much easier to find my line here and get through without too much trouble. Although here I get very close to touching Meow, and we've got someone off up ahead, obviously with the yellow flag for a short period of time, but not seeing anyone at this stage. So coming to the end of lap 1, get a nice run out of here, use all the track, and then down the hill into the tunnel for the second time. And obviously I missed the fact that Cam was off the road there. That must have been the yellow flag I saw, because we're now up to 12th and touching the wall, just overdriving the car a bit there. No harm done. Down to the chicane for a second lap. Tricky corner to get enough pace out, because you really want to maximise your run onto this straight. Even though it's only short, it's still plenty of time to be lost there. I pulled to the left here because I thought it was Zero Assists behind me who'd been off the road earlier coming through, but it was actually Dean again. So we lose a place to Dean, but it's early days with a 27 lap race, so let's not get too concerned. So jumping ahead to lap 3, and again touching the wall and the fence. That's Meow we're riding with, and a few of us will get through here, including myself. So he's had a bad run through the tunnel, and we jump again ahead to lap 4, and we're riding now with Gecko, and he's got a penalty. But you can see the cars here are all pretty close together in the mid-pack, led by Pete, then Globe, and Willie, unfortunately, who's spun ahead and touched the wall. So let's just have a look at that again. Yeah, he was running second when he did that, so quite a few cars have snuck through at this stage, and it's a pretty good rejoin there for Willie. And he drops all the way down to 10th, which is a long way back from being in second place. And unfortunately Willie later on had a disconnect, not his fault, as it spins in front of him, and that gives him one position, and so his race was spoiled a little bit in the end, and he didn't manage to finish because of that technical disconnect by his internet. So we all sneak through as it's dropped right down towards the back of the field now. Nathan's just gives him a little touch on the way through. but had given him plenty of room as well. So another recovering car behind us. I'm just one place up the road, so we'll see how long before Asa is right on my bumper. So we're now on lap 5 and just having a look further up the field, riding with Checker Globe in 9th place. Ahead of him is Benno, or Rusty. Again, a penalty there to be served. Cam's recovered to 7th. Willie's in 6th, so getting back further up the field fairly quickly at lap 5. Benno and Checker Globe very, very close together here, and really neat and tidy racing through the little tunnel. A little bit of rubbing, but the mid-pack again all close together at lap 5. So we've now jumped forward to lap 10, and it's myself, Asa and Dean running towards the second half, and we can see Benno just up ahead of us. I'm a bit slow through the S's section here, and you can see the boys behind me pushing pretty hard. But the push is pretty quick in a straight line, and this track doesn't have many spots to overtake unless you really want to push your luck, which as it does here, and gets a little bit of dirt on the tyres, and I sneak away, and Dean has pressure on him through the small tunnel and out the other side by side again. Good racing, and I get a little bit of breathing room here while the boys battle behind me. Moving ahead now to lap 13, and riding with Willie, and he's the first to pit stop. And this is a mandatory mediums race. You must use the mediums for at least a lap. So Willie's the early one in. He started on softs, comes back out on the mandatory tyres with some fuel on board, and he's holding on to P8 after that stop. Rusty close at hand, and so am I, but Willie's got a lot more pace, and the boys start to draw away from me through the tighter sections. Rusty spins ahead. Pretty easy to do on this track. There's been quite a few single car spins during the race, and I'm now up to P8, which from the back on lap 1 is not too bad. Pretty happy with that, but of course I haven't had my tyre stop, my pit stop as yet. We see the leaders come into the pits. Casper first in, followed by GT. Casper started on the soft and GT's on the mediums, but that seems really odd because he's gone back out with a 3-second penalty, and it seemed odd the fuel showing as he left the pits. So that's a real shame. He's going really well, but it is easy to get that 3-second penalty at this location. I did it many times in practice, and you've really got to be cautious coming into the pits. It's very tight. So he slows, of course, with the penalty, and Bob gets through into first place. GT still holding second with the Elder in third. They're all very closely tucked up at this stage following the pit stops. So we're now on lap 16 with another 12 laps left to go. With the tyre wear set here quite low, the tyres were lasting much better, of course, than the fuel, which would run out to about 17 or 18 laps in the Porsche at least, which is what I was driving. So coming to the end of lap 16, up to the final sequence of corners. Again, much easier to drive this, I find, going in reverse up the hill than down the hill. And we see Bob is in for a pit stop, but so is GT. So yes, he under fuel, he missed the fuel on the first stop. So that's really been costly, because he was quite quick, and this is going to put him down the order, having a second stop for fuel. So a bit, I was going to say unlucky, but probably just a bit trigger happy on the go button when he was in the pits. So out he comes on softs, and now with plenty of fuel, still in fourth place. So even with the 3-second penalty and the second stop, what could have been for GT in this race if those things hadn't occurred? So at this stage we've got Pete out in front, Casper in second, and Gecko in third, but this will all shake out as the pit stops run through. I'm running in seventh. We've got Checker Globe, then Cam, then Yowie, then Benno, and then Azza. And Casper has set a 49.3 for the fastest lap, and that Subaru is super fast around this circuit. Much quicker than anything I've been able to achieve anyway. So just monitoring now where everyone is going to finish after the pit stop sequence runs through. And we've got Pete in now. And he is on softs. Gecko's on mediums. What'll they be on when they come out is the interesting question. My strategy was not to change the tyres. I ran the same medium set for the whole race, and that proved to be a very risky strategy, as will become evident later in the video. The extra time to change tyres was certainly warranted when you see the pace of the people that went over onto the softs for their second stint. So there mustn't be many left to pit now. I'm one of them. And you can see from the graphic on the bottom left that I've got plenty of tyres and still plenty of fuel as well, really, at this stage. So, as I said, the tyre strategy was the critical error that I made here, which in the end put me under a lot of pressure at the back end of the race. But let's not spoil it. Let's get these pit stops out of the way and then we can go and have a look at the last few laps. Now we're coming towards the end of lap 18 and we're riding with Bob. He gets inside of GT, but unfortunately just loses the rear and gets a little bit of dirt and loses a place to Willie, and I'm close at hand there as well, but coming into the final corner I give Bobby plenty of room. He is on a different strategy and quicker than I am, and I'm not far off pitting in any case, so time to let him go down the road and use his lines to attempt some quicker lap times than what I would otherwise perhaps achieve. Now on lap 18, and I have Gecko and Globe behind me as well as Cam, and you can see I'm into the pits now. I'm on mediums with very little fuel left. I'll stay on those mediums and put in enough fuel just to get to the end of the race, in the hope that I save some time in the pits and can pick up some of the lost time to these fast guys ahead of me. And only time will tell as to whether that was going to work in my favour or not. Moving forward now to lap 19, we've got Benno in 10th, myself in 9th, Cam in 8th, and Casper has just pitted, so he must be the last car to pit. Getting the mediums, plenty of fuel by the looks of it. GT, despite all of these issues, now gets the lead back. Casper's going on to softs, and the Elder's still running 3rd. Bob in 4th, Gecko 5th, Willie still with us in 6th, Globe in 7th, and Cam in 8th. So running down towards the end of the race now, there'll be just 5 laps to go when the leader crosses the line this time past. So can GT hold on and recover from the issues of earlier? That Subaru behind with the wonderful livery is very quick around here, and Casper is pedaling it really well tonight. We can see some purple sectors showing up. They're really pushing each other to the limit here. As we come up to the second last corner, Casper grabs the inside. GT tries to fight back, but I think the Subaru has got the job done, and it might be pretty tough to recover from there, particularly given how good Casper's tyres are, having pitted late. So we're now on lap 23. The top 3 are pretty settled, I think. The battle for the top step of the podium is certainly still on, but the Subaru seems to have the legs now and is starting to open a gap. Working through from the back of the field, starts with Dean, then Azza, Combat Meow, Yowie in 10th, Benno in 9th, setting fast sectors on the soft tyres. Yowie in close proximity, but I think the AMG has it at this stage. You can see as we start the 24th lap that I had about the length of the straight between myself and Benno at the start of my lap, but he is on those really fast soft tyres, and whilst Yowie is holding on to him somewhat, he is quick for sure. And it appears that he is pushing pretty hard by the body language of that Merc. Coming up to the start of the pit straight here, and let's see when we get there just how much that gap has closed down. Remembering I haven't changed my tyres, but by the graphic I've still got plenty of tyre and fuel's not an issue. I did put in just enough to get home. So down the pit straight into the tunnel, and yeah, Benno is a lot closer this time and has distanced Yowie on that lap. So really got himself wound up into a nice rhythm. We're on lap 25, so about 2.5 to go, or a tad more. You can see my times there on the right. They're not fantastic compared to Casper, who's doing low 49s. I think my best lap all night was a mid 52, so nowhere near the pace needed to be competitive with the others, but good fun nonetheless. Just holding on here, well aware by now that Benno's catching me, and trying to make sure I don't make a mistake. Don't overdrive the car. You can see a little wiggle there, and costing myself time up into the hairpin, and yeah, he's really close now. trying to use as much track as possible without getting anywhere near the sand. The lines are still fine. Conservative in my braking point. Get the car rotated, accelerate all the track, not giving away anything that I can avoid. And he's a little bit closer, but not too bad. Not as much lost as I had the previous lap, but again, not the best of laps in terms of lap times. Particularly given the fuel's running down, so the car's nice and light, and the tyres aren't ridiculously worn, so that should not be an issue. All the track, down over the bridge, hit my braking marker, get to the apex. That's all I'm thinking about. Using the lines here that Nathan's taught me, but Rusty's getting very close now. He's had a great run through that section. You can see how close he is to me, and we have just a bit over a lap to go, and I'm going to have to be at my best to hold on to 8th place. Well, which, considering I started in 15th, I'm pretty happy with. So you can see how close he gets to me here in this tight section. I'm a bit squirrely on the outside of the hairpin. He's right there, and I have to be aware that he's going to try and send it at some point. I'm down, keep this one tight. He's going to have a great slipstream on the pit straight, but there's not a lot of options down through here that are low risk. And I park the car a little bit towards the centre of the track to start with. He has a look on the inside, but I'm right up against the wall there. I'm guessing I probably touched it. Down into here, he has a real good look. Not sure that was very gentlemanly of him to not go in there and push me wide. Thanks, Russ. That was great racing. So I know I'm holding him up, but I also know that it's difficult to safely pass. He has another look here. I get down to my point on the road, stay tight on the inside, don't leave anything open there. Make sure he's got to go the long way. Up into this tight section, staying in the middle of the track, holding on. I get out of there okay. I've balked him a bit, held him up, parked it on the apex. We're on the final lap here, and look how close he gets there. That was probably another opportunity for him to send it up the inside, and again I'm slow in the middle of the track, and he gives me a little tap. No harm done, and I've really held him up through there. He was much quicker and clearly deserved to finish ahead of me based just purely on the speed of the two. He was quicker. So all I can do now is just foot to the floor, hold it on the tightest line that I can find to the line. He gets one last run at it, but I just hold on with just enough fuel and finish in 8th place. Casper gets the win. GT, with all his issues, still managed second, and a great podium for Pete in 3rd place. Well done to everyone, great racing, and everyone was very, very good in terms of their race etiquette tonight. So thanks for the race, and I'll see you on track.